Hi everyone, morning. This is another episode in the series of webinars for the medical technologies community portfolio at the EIC, at the European Investment Council, Innovation Council. And today we have Patrick Boisseau with us. He's the Strategic Director General for Strategic Initiatives at MedTech Europe, the Association of MedTech Industries in Europe. Morning, Patrick. Thanks for being with us. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you very much, Enric. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce the fantastic, fabulous IHI, Innovative Health Initiative.
It's good to see you. Thanks for finding time for us. So just very briefly, as you know, this series of webinars, it's kind of an additional support that we want to provide to our portfolio companies and early stage projects. And IHI, the Innovation Health Initiative, is a very interesting organization. It's interesting because it provides funding to MedTech projects, but also because it connects our startups and our early stage projects to large MedTech companies. So those two components are really, really fantastic. And we thought it would be great to have one of the leading persons in the project, the IHI project, to tell us about this. So MedTech Europe is the Association of MedTech Industries, which is separate from IHI, but MedTech Europe, where Patrick is one of the lead executives, is very active, has been at the core of the creation of IHI, and it's at the core of the execution of the IHI mandate. So that's why I thought Patrick was a fantastic guest speaker for today. So that's all. Please do not hesitate to put your questions in the chat. I'll be reading them at the end of the presentation and then putting them to Patrick. So during the initial slide show, we would not be taking the questions, but if you put them in the chat, I'll be reading them at the end. And that's all, I think, unless I forget something, Jonas. I want to thank Jonas Eschmark for getting all the technical side working for us, and it always works perfectly well. So thanks so much. Floor is yours, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Enric. Good morning, all. So Enric already quickly introduced MedTech Europe. Just probably you are familiar that it's good to remind some key figures about the MedTech technology in Europe. So it's a quite significant market. And this industry, as you know, is let's say, probably less concentrated than the pharma industry, because let's say 95% of the companies are small and medium enterprises. So basically are companies like yours. And it's a highly creative industry because it is the second industry in filing patents at the European Patent Office in 2021, but this is a repeated ranking. And also it has a wide diversity of medical devices, which sometimes makes it difficult to be well perceived by the grand public. So our association, MedTech Europe, is covering all sectors of the medical technology, which is medical devices, in vitro diagnostic, and digital health. And we have two categories of members. We have now the 160 largest companies. Most of them are multinational companies operating in Europe. Plus, we have 60 national associations, for example, the French Association for Medical Devices, the French Association for in vitro diagnostic, the same in all the countries. And there again, Europe for us is not European Union only, it's the geography, Europe air zone. And our mission is, like many industry associations, we are the voice of our sector, the voice of our members, and we try, let's say, to promote the benefits and the value of the medical technologies in improving the healthcare delivery in Europe. And our role is to be basically not only the voice of members, but to represent our members vis-a-vis the European institutions, which are the Commission, the Council, and the Parliament. So that's enough about MedTech Europe. I will come back in one slide only about MedTech Europe, because the focus today is about the Innovative Health Initiative. As Enric mentioned in the beginning, I'm quite involved into this initiative because I was, let's say, contributing to the design of this partnership, public-private partnership. And so MedTech Europe is one of the 4 industry associations funding this initiative next to the European Commission. And probably some of you have heard about, let's say, a previous and famous public-private partnership called IAMI, Innovative Medicine Initiative. IAMI operated during 14 years with more than 200 projects funded. At that time, it was operated only by the pharma sector. The big change moving from IAMI to IHI is that now it covers, let's say, the entire life science sector, biotech, medtech, and pharma, and also it supports projects where you have, let's say, a close cooperation between the private sector and, most important, the public sector, so the public stakeholders. And public means, of course, healthcare professionals, academics, but also patient associations, regulators, procurers, basically all the stakeholders that are not big companies, to make a long story short. It means that, and this is maybe one interest for you, is you as a startup, as an SME, or as close to be a startup, let's say, you can join IHI, and this is a program that can bring you some return on your investment and some benefits. There again, you are fully eligible to join an IHI project. So a basic concept of IHI, it is a funding program. Basically, it financially supports large-scale program with, and this project should have a transformative impact. Like in all the European programs, let's say mobilizing public money, all the projects are selected via an open and competitive calls, evaluation by peer review experts. And the big difference probably between this program and other programs from the Horizon Europe framework program is that we try here to support large cross-sectoral projects associating public and private organizations. And I will come back later on the funding model, but basically the funding of all this project is a blend of public and private money. And I will go quickly later on about the different types of call, but just to give you another magnitude, the total budget of the IHI program is 2.4 billion euro over 7 years, which is quite a lot of money. And because there is quite significant budget for the program and in consequence for each project, you can really change the way healthcare is delivered and improve it for the benefit of patients and healthcare systems. You will get the slides after the call, so I will go quickly only, but basically we have 2 types of calls. Without entering into the details, I'll just highlight the main differences. It is important because you, especially you as startups and SMEs, basically the rules differ if you apply for one type or the other type, especially the financial impact. So I'm going quickly over the one-stage procedure. It means the calls are released on the IHI website, and then the competition is open, and usually consortia mixing public and private partners, they join forces, they submit the proposal in a competitive bid, then evaluation, and usually the second, or the first 3 projects which are best ranked are financially supported. They sign the grant agreement and basically they implement what they have submitted. So this is basically very similar to the regular Horizon Europe project, especially in the health cluster. So it's the big advantage here is that public and private partners choose to work together. So the importance of networking is key here if you want to join such a consortium. The second option, called the 2-stage procedure, is very different. This was the main type of project under IMI. Here, the procedure is different. The topic text is defined by a predefined industry consortium only, industry only. Basically, the industry associations, I'm representing one of them, is mobilizing its members, and you can have a group of 5, 10, 15, 20 companies coming from the pharma, the MedTech space. They join forces and they identify challenges, let's say high-level challenges that they want to address. And then basically the core topic is then published by the office, and only the public participants, there again, healthcare professionals, scientists, patients, and possibly startups and SMEs can apply. And here only the very best proposal is selected, because only one project is selected. So you can already see the difference. Basically, in both cases, SMEs can be funded 100% of their eligible cost. This is a general rule from the Horizon Europe program for this type of program. So you can be funded 100%, whether you join in a one-stage or in a two-stage procedure. I will come back later on a specific possibility for you if you want to join as on the industry side, as if you can be member of the industry associations. But I will come back to this later. So there again, here this is basically a description of the two types of projects. So one stage, public and private partners team up together. They select themselves, they form industry consortia, and then they apply to the course. I'm going quickly over the eligibility criteria that's you can take time to read it. The second stage, industry only, is defining the topics, and the public partners apply and compete, and only the very best consortium can win. First stage, you can have 1, 2, 3, depending on the budget, project selected. Two stage, only one project is selected. Who can participate? You can participate. And any legal entity is legally registered somewhere in Europe. It could be even a one-person company if it exists. But I mean, participating does not mean being eligible for funding. But in your case, in the vast majority of situations, startups and SMEs are fully eligible for funding. But I'm going fast here, but you can read this. These are, let's say, the eligibility rules, which are basically the general rules of Horizon Europe. So there again, as SME, in single stage, you join the project, and whether you are, let's say, as considered as a public organization, or if you are a member of one of the industry associations, you can be funded as a company. In a two-stage course, the companies, and that's an important point which can impact your participation, the industry members do not receive funding, because and even, let's say, if you are an SME or a startup member of industry associations, you do not receive funding. But the advantage, the main advantage of, let's say, being a member of an industry association is that you contribute to the topic definition, and you can join the predefined industry consortium. It means you can have a guaranteed seat. So you will have to decide if you are interested in a two-stage course. Oh, okay, I want to be part of the game on the industry side. I'm joining an industry association. I'm participating to the drafting sessions, and I have a guaranteed seat in the consortium, but you cannot get funded. On the other side, you say, okay, no, funding for me is key. So, okay, I will wait for the publication of the topic text by the HR office, and then I will apply. And I hope that the consortium I'm belonging to will be the successful one. So, you know, these are two different options. In short, you cannot write the core topics and then be funded. It is basically the situation that cannot exist. Well, I'm going fast here on this, but basically, if you are a member of one of the industry associations, and COSIR for the medical imaging, Europa Bio for biotech, MedTech Europe I'm representing FPR for the pharma sector. They can, most of them can accommodate startups and SMEs as the members. I will come back to that later. And so you can have, let's say, different links. I will not enter into the details here. Just as far as my organization is concerned, even if our corporate members are the 160 multinational companies, we have created, end of last year, a new category of partners called Partners in Research, exactly for what you are representing today. This category is reserved for startups and SMEs with no product already on the market. That means being in the development phase. And if you are interested to join our research and innovation committee and then be part, let's say, of the same group as the multinational companies, then you can join with a very easy application process and with a very low application fee. So if you are interested, just contact me, or you contact Enric, that will put you in contact with me. Just a couple of figures about participation of small and medium enterprises in IHI. So IHI started in 2021, late 2021. So we are now more or less at midterm. So we already had 7 call campaigns. The 8, because the 8 call campaign has been published 2 days ago. And so we have quite some significant statistics. So far we have 69 participation of SMEs, sorry, participation, I mean 56 participants, but some of them have applied several times. That's why we have 69 participation. And in total, almost 22 million euro has been distributed to small and medium enterprises, which is 12% of the total contribution, which is quite significant. But this is a rolling process, so we have 42 additional participants, joining the ongoing project, which are under evaluation, grant agreement signature, adding 19 additional million euros. So you now have approximately, if all this grant agreement preparation goes with a positive end, which is all what we expect, we will have, let's say, 40 million euro allocated to small and medium enterprises, which is quite a lot. And here's the list of the most active small and medium enterprises. And you can see on the right column that some of them are participating to 1, 2, or sometimes 3 projects, which is quite impressive, because even some multinational companies, are participating only to 1 or 2. So you can see that it works for SMEs. It might look, and this is maybe the picture you have in mind, it might look complex, messy, bureaucratic, lengthy, or whatever you want. And to some extent, it's true. But it works. The process works not only for big companies, not only, let's say, for big hospitals or big universities. It works also for small and medium enterprises. A few words about the funding. Companies, so the private members, have the obligation to provide half of the budget of each project. That's important. Half of the budget of each project comes from industry. It comes, let's say, in different forms, in-kind contributions. Basically, the industry is mobilizing its staff. It provides equipment, devices, data, or basically what is needed to execute, to make the project run. And they can also bring access to their clinical trials, or basically all what they use. So the public partners do not, I mean, they bring basically their team, and they get funded for that. Industry is not funded, except in some specific cases, in the one state calls MedTech industry, not the pharma industry. MedTech industry can also receive some EC grants and the specific conditions. But more important is to remind that for any IHI project, half of the budget comes from in-kind from industry, The second half comes in cash from the European Commission. In practice, if you join, or probably you have maybe already experience in joining any multi-stakeholder consortium, it means you have several meetings to fine-tune, to drill down, let's say, the ideas, try to identify what are the big challenges, what are the different tasks and work packages, and the role of each partner in the project. And so joining a project is an investment, but at the end, you will sign only one agreement, which is the consortium agreement. And the consortium agreement is basically the contract among all the partners in the successful project, just to define the rights and the duties of all the partners in the project during the lifetime of the project. Only the coordinator is signing the grant agreement with the IHI office, but only the coordinator is responsible for financial management, project management, and so on. So you, as a startup, you sign only one document, the consortium agreement, which defines, let's say, your rights and duties, and all the others are the same. And by the way, I think if you're interested, we have the lawyers from the different parties have worked on defining a model grant agreement, a model consortium agreement, which are all accessible on the IHI website or on our website. So in short, IHI is a neutral playground for all stakeholders in healthcare willing to engage in open collaboration. That's very specific. It's very different from the regular Horizon Europe calls on health, where the European Commission identifies the topics and is funding the partners. Here, this is a joint venture between the public sector and the private sector, and with the objective to make things change and improving healthcare delivery. By joining IHI, basically you share risks. Basically, you can be part of big projects without having the financial burden and the risk burden. And I mentioned that we try to make it big because we want to have a transformative impact. We are not talking about incremental research. We want to make things change. And for each project, the partners clearly have to identify, okay, what has been changed after the project compared to before the project. And many projects, have a lot of follow-up, even if the project is contractually ended. If you look at the many projects under IMI1, IMI2, they have, let's say, a lot of legacy, and sometimes it might be spin-offs, sometimes it might be infrastructures, so there are databases and so on. So usually they go much beyond because they are so transformative that it cannot be fixed into 4 years, and it requires longer effort. It's a place where success is based on trust, creativity, and innovative thinking. So basically, you can't be there as a free rider. It is demanding, but there is no pain, no gain. And basically, as a startup, and I will explain you this in my take-home message slide at the end, I think it might be a fabulous adventure because you, during 4 years, 5 years, you will work daily next to big companies, big healthcare hospitals, big competent authorities, and so on. Transformative research is here. We are not addressing academic research, fundamental research. This is not the aim of IHI. And this is, of course, a place to learn. That's why I said already that usually there is a life after the end of the project, but there is also a life for people after the end of the project, because a lot of person-to-person interactions, let's say, survive to the project, and especially for startups, I think this is a very nice opportunity to start, let's say, co-living with other partners, especially the big companies. You will find on IHI website a lot of resources, especially all the code documents. So about the open calls, about the closed calls, about the past projects, all the more than 200 projects are already available here with the fact sheets. And you have, let's say, the facts, or basically a lot of information are there, just in case, you can't find it. Either you contact the IHI office, or if there are some questions specific to IHI or to the MedTech, you can contact me, of course. So my take-home messages: I strongly encourage you to join IHI project. I know that it is demanding, it is requiring an effort, but basically let's say the effort is the same for big companies. Surprisingly, the big companies I'm representing, most of them, the majority of them, have very limited, and most of the time no experience of joining these large projects. So basically they are learning the same pace as you are learning. They start small and then they go bigger and bigger. Of course, some companies are really very well organized, very professionals, and they are participating 1, 2, 3. Even one company is participating to 8 IHI projects already. But I think it is an exception. Most of the companies, the big companies, are learning the same way you are learning. It's not just a one-shot participation. It's usually projects are, say, between 4 or 5 years on average, but sometimes more. And you can't, let's say, join and then leave later. Of course, there could be some force majeure situation, but this is an adventure. And so you have to take this into account before deciding to join or not. But, and this is probably my most important message today, is that, sorry to compare, it's like if you go for a 1 month holiday, let's say with your boyfriend or girlfriend, by living together for 1 month, then at the end, you know each other, you can make plans for future activities. And here, joining IHI project is one way to live nearby big companies, nearby local healthcare systems, nearby patient associations. By entering project, it is a one-stop shop where you can access all the public and the private partners, and you can discuss with them, of course, for implementing the project. But most of the time, especially between startups and big companies, there is they have some one-to-one interactions coming out of this project. And I would like to end by quoting, let's say, the head of partnership at Philips Healthcare. And say, okay, for us, we are receiving every day, let's say, a lot of, let's say, offers from startups saying, okay, we have developed the best technology, please, we are interested to work with you. And basically, as you have experienced, most of them, they simply do not have the resources to cope with so many demands. They cannot conduct due diligences and so on. But they say, okay, once we live or co-live with a startup in the framework of a 3 years, 4 years, 5 year project, then that's a very good test, because we discover each other and we can start deciding if we want to go further. So I think with that, that's the end of my presentation now. Thank you very much for your patience, and then I would be very happy to answer to your questions.
Very good. Thanks so much, Patrick. Before we go to the questions in the chat, I'm seeing already some questions in there. Just very briefly, trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the people listening in right now. Imagine that you have the academic listening to this presentation and the entrepreneur. These two populations will be amongst the audience. What will be the steps one by one, just very briefly, so to guide them? If I am an academic, what should I do as steps very briefly? And if I am an entrepreneur, what should I do? Should I first go to the website, look at the topics, or look at the date of the new cutoff, then topics, then do I need to assemble a consortium? Just what will be the steps?
The easiest step is, as you mentioned, Enric, look at the open calls. So as I mentioned 2 days ago, we have released the call number 8, and which is a 2-stage call. So basically it's open for public partners. Have a look at this. On the IHR website, there also, or soon it will be published, the dates of the brokerage event, which I strongly recommend you to attend. The IHR office is organizing, let's say, more or less every 6 months, let's say, brokerage events, which are sometimes online, sometimes in person in Brussels. Next time in mid-November, it will be in person in Brussels, where you can interact one-to-one with companies, and where especially all the big companies that are considering investing into projects or bringing in-kind contributions, they are pitching. So by just listening to, listening to the pitches, maybe my technology, my solution might help, might contribute to this objective, and then you contact this company one-to-one, and then you discuss. So basically, the easiest way is look at the open opportunities. That's the first thing. So looking at the website, attending the brokerage events, and there on the IHI website, there is also a matchmaking platform. So all the tools are here. Second, if you are, let's say, a very ambitious person, you can not only apply to an existing call, but you can suggest ideas for future calls. And there is a web page on IHR website to collect ideas. And I'm mentioning this because we already had what we call it third parties ideas to say, you IHI, I think it would be good to work on addressing this challenge. I don't know, early detection of cancer, monitoring of patients at home. You're just giving some ideas. And some ideas can come from a single company, from a single person, or sometimes for a group of companies. So all these ideas, then they are received, they are assessed by the Science and Innovation Panel, which is the scientific body of IHI. And then some of them, let's say, continue their way and becomes a future project. So, and there again, no restrictions about, let's say, the proponent. So this is, there, of course, it takes more time, but that's also an option. But all in all, if you join any open innovation initiative, networking is key. It means you have to identify the best complementary partners, public or private, that could work with you and to whom you bring, let's say, a unique selling point. That's why, what MedTech Europe, my association, is doing is in order to bridge this gap, between startups and big companies, we offer this option of joining as partner in research, because, let's say, by attending the monthly meeting of our Research and Innovation Committee, you can ask questions, you are aware of all the information, all the developments, well before the publication of the final topic.
Very good. So an SME in our portfolio, I assume they could find a topic that has been open already in addition to the open call, and then go for that topic if it matches their expertise.
Yes. And so, but legally speaking, we need three partners in any project. So an SME cannot go alone. But so if an SME is interested by a topic, they look they look at the topic and then start giving calls, mobilizing to say, contacting depending on the public and or private partners. Hey guys, so would you like to join us? Or do you think it is interesting? Can we build a consortium together to address all the requirements of the call? Attending the brokerage event is an extra step to enlarge your network. And then once you have a solid consortium, you write the proposal and you submit.
Very good. And both biotech and medtech are covered. It depends on the call, the topic that's out, right? Both biotech and medtech.
Yes, we try to a real raison d'être of IHI is cross-sectoriality. So we cannot have, let's say, topics which are pharma only or medtech only or biotech only. We try to have always the different sectors contributing, not equally, I agree, but the different sectors contributing to the topic definition.
The typical amount that an SME or an academic team could get, what's the typical grant they would receive, the amount?
So if you look at the past IHR project, I mean, the first IHR project, the first 20 projects, the total budget of the project is between, I would say, 15, 20, 30, 40 million euro. If you have, let's say, I don't know, 10, 15 partners, so you make the calculation. But if a company, a startup company, depending on its contribution, if it is people only, or even if they bring, some of their technologies, can get, let's say, several K euro to 1 million euro, depending, let's say, on the importance of the role. And again, be careful, let's say, whether if you join, let's say, if you are not a member of any industry association, so you are 100% eligible. So you declare your costs, they're eligible, it's certified and approved, reimbursed. But if you are a member of an industry associations, in one stage calls, you can be funded up to 50% approximately of your eligible cost. And in two stage calls, you cannot be funded.
Very good. Thank you. Let's take some questions from the chat. In the case of a public institution which is close to setting up a spin-off, in a two-stage call, is it possible to apply first from the public institution and then incorporate the spin-off later on? Or do you have to have a company already in place to go for the two-stage call?
If you apply to a stage, so two-stage calls, I remind you, the text is defined by the predefined industry consortium, okay? And then the competition is open to the public partners. So only the public partners can join at that time. So in that case, the public institution can join. If it happens during the lifetime of the project that a spin-off emerges, then okay, there is a possibility. It's not easy on the legal point of view. It's doable. It's doable because, let's say, well, we don't know what life will be in 3 years, 5 years from now, especially in industry and especially for startups. So there is some flexibility. So basically, partners can come in, can go out, depending on many conditions. So that's why there are some provisions in the grant agreement and in the consortium agreement to address this kind of situation.
Very good. So can you confirm that then you will have 3 types of calls? So 1 stage, 2 stage, and open, or the open will also have?
Open is a 1 stage. Basically, you have 1 stage either with a topic or without topic. We call it open, and 2 stage. So it means, and that's a very good comment. Thank you, Enric, because it means for this new. So they will be publicized very shortly by the IHI office. We are just finalizing, let's say, the documents. It means that a startup which is connected, let's say, to some public and private partners, because it is a spin-off, because of a company or of institutions, because, let's say, in the past years they had already previous collaboration. So together they can start to prepare a proposal, which should address, let's say, the general objectives of IHI, and then they can grow by inviting or the public or the private partners to join to form a solid consortium. Yes, so that's a new type of call, which is not restricted to predefined topics. So it will be launched in January 2025.
Very good. And you mentioned a typical consortium size. I think you said minimum of 3 partners, but in reality, in practice, you probably want to have like a 10 to 15, I think you mentioned. Is that the case?
Yes, there is a very simple reason for that. If you want to have a real transformative impact, you can't do it with less than 15 million euro. So if you need 15 million euro, no even big medtech company can just inject half of the budget, so 7 million euro by itself. That's why, big company invites a second, a third, a fourth, and then at the end we try to mobilize. Our role as industry association is try to mobilize as much companies as we can to have, let's say, the biggest budget available for the project. Because again, if industry is bringing so its in-kind contributions equivalent to, I don't know, 20 million euro, Then the EC is leveraging this amount, so it's 20 plus 20 means 40 million euro for the project, which is quite a lot of money.
Very good. So typically 10 to 15 members, that would be a typical size, 15 million, that sort of.
That's the minimum size we are looking at, yes.
Okay, 15 million budget, very good. Okay, what's the maturity level of the technology that you want to see in the proposals? Is very close to market, clinical. So this is research, right? We're not covering marketing, sales, post-market follow-up. We're covering development, maybe clinical trials. What's the maturity that you want?
That's a very good question. I mentioned already, IHI is not designed for academic research or fundamental research. Because industry is bringing half of the budget, industry always have, let's say, some very clear impact on the horizon. So we are looking, of course, let's say, for late stage development. Just one disclaimer, IHI operates in the pre-competitive space. It means the IHI funding cannot go for developing one specific product of one specific company, because it is half of the budget is public money also. So, but I think, and we have many projects where we have, let's say, market competitors working hand in hand to develop some common building blocks that will be shared by everybody later on. And one last word, IHI is not only about, let's say, funding project with genomics, physics, medicine, and so on. We have projects addressing health economics, addressing regulatory science, addressing market access, addressing standardization and norms. So it's a very, very wide focus. So that's important because IMI was very, let's say, disease-oriented and therapy-oriented. It's no longer the case in IHI. We open it. The first project led by MedTech companies is on regulatory science, on developing in Europe or implementing in Europe the early feasibility study concept, which is some kind of a small-scale clinical trial for high-risk medical devices. So thanks to this IHI project, these early feasibility studies will become possible in Europe and make Europe attractive again for these high-risk medical devices. This is an example. We have, let's say, many topics under discussion which have nothing to do with understanding the disease or developing a therapy.
Very good. So then I understand that for a typical startup in our portfolio, developing a specific product for one or more disorders, they could participate helping to develop some modules that could have multiple uses rather than focusing on their single product. Is that the idea?
Or maybe if they bring their technology or their service, their solution, and they want to focus only on this, then they can be part of, let's say, a pilot case or use case for a specific one, but they will less contribute to the rest of the project. So it's it's up to them to decide, or to the consortium to decide.
There's another question. How do you suggest to find partners? I think you mentioned this matching.
This is a $1 million question, Well, there are several ways, but networking is key here, and because I know it's like making friends, How do you make friends? You meet after work, you go to a party, you go to a sports club, and this is exactly the same here. In order to find partners, first you need to have, let's say, already cooperation. It could be financial links, technical cooperations, scientific cooperations. On top of that, there are some tools. So on the IHI website and on the European portal, for projects, you have a research partner tool, so you can explain what you are looking for. Specifically to IHI, you have the matchmaking platform where you can post your offer, describe, or look for others, and then contact one-to-one. And third option, which for me is quite good, is attending the brokerage event, because here you hear live and you can ask questions live to the pitches, and you can have also side discussions. So these are, but on top of that, I know that some of our national associations, so in some of the countries, are organizing IHI info days. And say recently, Greece, Germany, Israel, Denmark, and so on, they have organized these kind of events. And I strongly recommend you to attend, if it happens in your country, to attend, because here you will meet some local, national partners. Sometimes it's easier, let's say, if you are a Greek startup, just maybe to identify, okay, who are the other Greek partners interested? Because let's say you have the same language, we have similar connections. So that's another option. And the IHI office is encouraging all the national contact points to organize these events, just to demultiply the information.
Very good. Some practical matters that come to mind. The typical proposal size in terms of pages, because that has been an important topic here at the EIC. You know, that the trend has been to decrease the size because there is so much burden on the side of the entrepreneur or the academic that what was the typical page size for these proposals? We're talking 50 pages.
That's very well framed. So in one stage call, where so one stage you apply with a full proposal, I think now contractually, I think it is limited to 50 pages. I think, but now again, it is the Horizon Europe rule. So okay. I think it is 50 now. But in the two-stage call, the public partners apply with a short proposal, which is a 20 pages document. And so once the best public consortium is selected, then I call it the forced marriage, you know, between the best public partner and the predefined industry consortium, and together they write the full proposal, which is, I think, they get 50 pages maximum.
Very good, thanks. There is a question about the UK. UK companies.
Good question.
Could they participate?
Finally, UK companies are now eligible from this year. You know, since the association agreement between UK and European Union has been signed, so UK companies are now eligible with the same rights as any company located in the European Union.
Very good. That's unfortunate, I think. Okay, so if I understood this correctly, when you go for this short proposal, I think you said 20 pages, I believe, and then you have to go for the 50-page large proposal, and then you include public partners?
No. It's the public partners submit their 20 pages document. It is selected, and so this consortium and the predefined industry consortium, they mix together, and together they write the full proposal, which is 50 pages.
Okay. So the SMEs that might want to participate, at which stage could they participate in this process, this predefined industry? They have the choice. And SMEs, they either they want to join on the industry side to be part of the predefined industry. Then they have no funding, yes.
But they have no funding, and they should be a member of an industry association. Okay. Or they prefer to join later on the public side. They can get funding, but they don't participate to the core shaping.
Understood, yes. So I assume for most of our startups and academics, because of the size of the companies, I think funding tends to be usually very important. I might get this wrong, but I think for most of them, they might require funding. They have a plan, they got some funding from the EIC, they want to expand. So I assume they will go then for the type 1, so single stage.
They can go to both, either one stage or to the 2 stage, but applying on the public side.
Yes. Okay.
This is the only way for them to be funded.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay. Are there any examples of projects that were successful in the past that could guide our portfolio a little bit to know?
Well, we have, let's say, as I mentioned, 200 projects, let's say, are already funded. And on the website, IHI website, you find a project and you have the fact sheets, and you can use some keywords. But I think there are, well, I'm less familiar with the pharma projects, but looking at the the first IHI project, as I mentioned in the statistics, we have already 40 plus SMEs participating to projects. So, but it's important to look at even just the IHI project. So we have, it's not 200, it's 20 or 20 plus. And it's interesting to read, even the titles, just to understand the level of granularity. It's not ultra focused, but what one is, or some examples that come immediately to my mind, or the project called IDERA, which started 1 year ago. It's about, let's say, defining standards for data exchange under the European health data space. This new European regulation on data exchange, defining, let's say, format, how to merge data from heterogeneous sources. Data provided by the patients, provided by hospitals, provided by industry, provided by the healthcare systems, and so on. So this is, and then you have, let's say, some startups participating, and this is just an example.
Very good, very clear. The format reminds me a bit of the. Do you remember years ago we had, or the Commission had, the integrated projects? They were like 12, 13, 14 million, and it was a major effort to put together one of these projects. I remember I tried once when I was a junior academic, and it was really, really hard. I didn't get funding. So how do you see this developing in practice? Can a small company be the coordinator of such a big project? Typically, they sort of attach to an existing idea, an existing coordinator. What's the most practical way of being successful?
Well, I think I like your reference to integrated projects. I was in the same position as you, so I did also try. Sometimes succeeded, sometimes failed. But you're right, that's this integrated project are maybe close to what IHI is trying to implement. IHI is maybe bigger, but the concept is the same. Strong industry participation, project with impact, and it's a practical solutions, not knowledge, but practical solutions implemented. So startups can contribute, and depending on the startups, we have a wide variety of startups joining. That they can take a small or a big role. However, about the management of such a big project, I would not recommend it to do it because it is a resource intensive, and even the big companies, they are most of the time they are hiring specialized consulting companies to help them on the project management, and especially about all the administrative obligations, reporting, and so on, which is, there again, it's not rocket science, but I mean, it's time consuming, and it might be very painful if you have to do it by yourself. So, but there again, the role of the startup depends basically on the consortium's dynamic. And so there is no, let's say, restriction per se on what a startup can do. Basically, the startup will define by itself, okay, I can contribute up to here, but I cannot do more because I do not have the resources. But you can see some them have a key role in some projects.
Very good, very clear. So I suppose for most of our portfolio participants, then the info days you were suggesting, all the mechanisms to network are key, not to find these coordinators who are putting together a project and then find a way to collaborate, as opposed to creating a new idea from scratch, because you might have to be the coordinator if you want this to get really to fly. Very good. Very good. So I think we're reaching the end of the webinar now. I wanted to thank you, Patrick, for your time and for the task you're doing at MedTech Europe and for promoting MedTech. And it's interesting to see your organization getting more and more of the startup community under your umbrella. I mean, this is very nice, and I think I know you're one of the drivers of this motivation in the organization. So I really appreciate that. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you all. And there again, you have my contacts. I would be very happy to support you in jumping into the IHI training.
Very good. So those that they will get a copy of your presentation, but I suppose they can reach out to MedTech Europe.
Yeah. Perfect. With pleasure.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much again.
Thank you so much, Paul. Have a good day.
Thank you, Patrick. A great pleasure as usual. And so thanks so much. See you the next webinar. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.